Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
What if I told you that the 2003 US invasion of Iraq wasn't for the reason we thought it was? In early 2003, German archaeologist Jörg Fassbinder made a significant discovery on an ancient part of the Euphrates riverbed. You see, Fassbinder was scanning underneath the ground near the ancient city of Uruk and found that there was a structure there. And based on ancient descriptions, he believed that he may have discovered the lost tomb of Gilgamesh. If you don't know who Gilgamesh was, he was the legendary giant Sumerian king who was said to be 2/3 god, 1/3 human. The Epic of Gilgamesh was written around 2500 BC, and it described his burial in a massive, elaborate tomb beneath the Euphrates River near the ancient city of Uruk, right where Fassbinder made his find. But here's where it gets weird. Just about a month later, the United States invaded Iraq. All archaeological digs had to stop, and the story of this discovery vanished from the news. According to the story, the US military set up an encampment around the site of this tomb, and locals claimed that they could hear the army digging and trying to confiscate whatever it was that they found there. But the question is, what was in there? Well, some theorize there may have been ancient relics or some kind of ancient technology found, perhaps with a connection to the Anunnaki. Others have suggested that the body of Gilgamesh himself was still in there and was taken away to perform experiments. But what do you think? Make sure to leave a comment and let me know what you want to hear about next.
We gotta do an episode on Gilgamesh, bro.
Yeah, if you're new to the channel, go and check out our Deep Dives playlist.
What the fuck? So the CIA have dropped some documents, and these documents are basically cheat codes. Cheat codes for your brain. Now these cheat codes can apparently cure pain. Just listen to this, right? So if you are in pain, all you have to do is look at the area and in your brain repeat the numbers 55515. That's all you've got to do. People are claiming that this actually works, but there is a little clause. It doesn't work on major illnesses, but it does help with general pain. But there's also more. There is also a cheat code that is supposed to help you remember something that you might have forgot, including life experiences. All you've got to do is close your eyes, use the fingers from your right hand, and touch the center of your forehead. And boom, just like that, you're supposed to remember. And even use these cheat codes to reduce emotional charge, or even to receive a fresh new energy for your total system. Being it's an interesting read, I'm going to pop it on my TikTok story for you. If you want to give it a go, feel free, let me know if it works.
It works, bro.
I doubt it. But if it does, we're definitely in a simulation.
Dude, with like all of this stuff that's been happening lately with the news cycle and all the crazy things that have gone on in the last 6 months, like from Trump almost getting killed on live TV to like a week later, that story's completely dead. And then we have like the Olympics debacle, and then we have like the debates, the election, and all this, the New Jersey drones, like there's like so much stuff happening on top of the fact that people are more awake now than ever of all the fuckery that's going on with like not only just the media trying to subvert stuff with advertisers, but with the government trying to subvert stuff. Like people more aware of the word psyop now than ever. I'm sure if you did a Google trend on that word psyop, it's probably skyrocketed last year.
For sure.
So like, I wonder if the government came out tomorrow and said, yes, we made a deal with these alien civilization and they're here, we have their UFOs. I wonder legitimately what percentage of people would believe that or just run the other way.
Run the other way, bro.
You should question everything they tell you.
Look at the CEO of MakerDAO, the crypto guy, who was in Costa Rica, and he tweets out that the CIA is running a child trafficking blackmail operation out of Costa Rica. If anything happens to me, I did not kill myself. And then like 12 hours later, he tweets out, my girlfriend is working for the CIA. They're trying to plant child on my laptop. I would never kill myself. I'm not suicidal. And then the next day he wakes up floating in. And this is a billionaire in Costa Rica, a billionaire, a crypto self-made billionaire with billions that already just closed a deal worth like $316 million like 2 days prior. And then he ends up floating in front of his oceanfront condo in Costa Rica.
They took him out, bro.
Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. But yeah, they probably did.
Stop scrolling. The police have just announced that they're installing permanent live facial recognition cameras on the streets of London. Facial recognition CCTV will be wired into the streets of Croydon, where people live, shop, socialise and work, ready to be switched on at any time at the press of a button. These Orwellian cameras are not just hugely intrusive, but put people at risk of misidentifications and wrongful arrests. While the EU has heavily restricted police use of this technology, in the UK there is no law mentioning facial recognition, and police forces are rapidly turning street corners into mass identity checkpoints, and it will not stop with Croydon. If we don't fight back together, this net of facial recognition surveillance will spread across London and to other cities in the UK. We've made this a national issue across the media and triggered public backlash. We're also supporting Europe's first legal action against police use of this tech on behalf of individuals wrongly flagged as criminals. We're campaigning for your privacy and freedom in the press, in Parliament, and even in the courts. Join our fight today at stopfacialrecognition.org.
This is fucking bollocks. So many people are getting wrongly identified as criminals.
England's fucked, bro.
Facial recognition is used in China and Russia. Labour now uses facial recognition. Welcome to 1984 in full throttle. This is true, that very, very few countries elsewhere around the world are using facial recognition, and we are in the ranks with China and Russia. This is not a good look. And if you look in Europe, you've had supermarkets that were fined millions of euros for using live facial recognition to spy on shoppers. And yet here, you could go in a half an hour radius of your local city and you'd probably find that you were being scanned and watched with facial recognition cameras. And the data watchdog isn't doing anything about it. Part of the reason for that is that Chris Philp, who is now Shadow Home Secretary, put a lot of pressure on the data watchdog to not take any action.
They could be using AI to do amazing things, but instead they're using it to control us.
It's taking over the film industry, bro.
Even though I firmly believe AI will be the downfall of our civilization, I can't help but feel like this is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. The concept is the artists walking into their album covers. Music artists, there's Kurt. And all this stuff is AI, but some of it's really good. Look at Freddie Mercury. I mean, this is Tom York. I mean, I had chills when I watched this. Maybe it was just the background music that got me emo, but it's not. All of the albums that were chosen here means so much to me, and are albums that I bought. Like, I remember in the record store buying that tape. I remember buying Dangerous on CD. This was before my time, but my brother had the Queen albums and had The Wall on vinyl. And I think if you're my age, if you're kind of Gen X, early millennial, and you know these albums, this hits. This really hits. And then you think about the AI of it all, and you're like, but it's beautiful, and it just made me feel something. Like, what? Now I'm all confused, and I think that's what, I guess it's going to create beauty and it's going to create horror. It's going to do both. And I guess that's just life anyway, and that's the world anyway. There's beauty and there's horror, and I choose to see beauty in this piece. So thank you, whoever made this. This is just absolutely incredible. Wow.
That is incredible, and he makes a good point, but it's a slippery slope.
Robots are replacing film crews, bro.
Kim Kardashian doing a photo shoot with Tesla robots. One of the robots was holding either a free fly or some sort of camera stabilizer. It looked like as a prop, and I was like, ha ha ha, look, the robots are operating the camera, ha ha ha, joke. Now that's not the case anymore, because we just saw a demo, not from Tesla robots, but from WPP, partnership with Boston Dynamics. They released this whole video showing how they were using a humanoid robot as a camera operator on set.
So that is direct job replacement of the cinematographer. That is happening right now.
They clarified many times in the video, it is not to replace, it is to augment creativity.
But the robot was the only cinematographer on set. I didn't see
the robot
real
was the camera operator.
This is the problem. This prick saying it's just a camera operator and not a cinematographer. What's he going to be left with, just one guy and a bunch of robots? It's ridiculous.
Robots are going to replace actors too, bro.
They're taking the life out of everything.
There's still some people doing things properly.
After AI accusations were thrown at it online, it's all puppeteering. And this is the thing that Anthony and I have been talking about. Technology's advanced so much, and it's just a shame so many studios are going CGI to create their creatures when this Ochi puppet looks more real than any puppet I think I've ever seen on camera before. I have so much respect for this movie and the filmmakers for just going full puppetry, all practical, all in camera with their creature design, on-set practical, and even when you have so they had 5 puppeteers working on the animal at the same time, interacting with one person as each limb and then also the face and body. And the way it moves, even though you see the puppeteers and they all have these sticks that help control it, the creature looks real. Ochi looks real in the way its face moves and mouth moves and eyes. It's incredible, and it's like they were doing, they did Jurassic Park almost 40 years ago. They were doing, Dark Crystal back then in the 80s. It's like, imagine how advanced it is now. So I think it's a shame to immediately assume it's AI and CGI. Just because it looks so good doesn't mean it's not real. So I think it was really smart of A24 to drop this behind the scenes look. They were like, AI, boom, cue, mic drop.
Those guys did an amazing job. People still think we're made with AI.
Fuck that, bro. Just because it looks good, don't mean it ain't real.
On tariffs, you just said with China. Who are you with? I'm with The Independent. Oh, that's good. It's on tariffs. You just said with China. We charge them. He charged them as in we charge China. But the tariffs are paid eventually by American importers and consumers.
No, they're not. No, I think they're paid for by the country.
No, the country don't pay. The importer does.
Trust us, we know. Our mugs are made in China, but they're printed in the USA. So now our mug supplier is telling us that it's going to go up. It's ridiculous. Obviously it's going to go up. And we don't use them because they're made in China and it's cheaper. We use them because they're the best quality we could get.
There's a confusion about China that, and let me at least give you my opinion. The popular conception is that companies come to China because of low labor cost. I'm not sure what part of China they go to, but the truth is China stopped being the low labor cost country many years ago. The reason is because of the skill and the quantity of skill in one location and the type of skill it is. The products we do require really advanced tooling, and the precision that you have to have in tooling and working with the materials that we do are state of the art. And the tooling skill is very deep here. In the US, you could have a meeting of tooling engineers and I'm not sure we could fill the room. In China, you could fill multiple football fields. It's that vocational expertise is very deep, very, very deep here.
This is it. Anyone who's bought our merch knows all we care about is quality. And the best we could get was from China. It's as simple as that.
People here can't even make a phone call, bro.
Gen Zs are now taking classes on how to make phone calls. So it's called telephobia, and it's a fear or anxiety around making and receiving telephone calls. 75% of them say they never answer a phone call. But this is causing problems for when employers reach out for interviews or Gen Zs have to make a phone call to make a dentist appointment or something. And many students struggle with phone interviews because they haven't had the chance to practice. So now workshops are being held to help them feel more confident with students practicing everyday calls like making doctor's appointments. One career advisor is suggesting people practice with a note card with cheat notes, choosing a quiet space, and using breathing exercises to calm the nerves, reminding students that they are in charge of the phone call, and telling students, quote, "If this telephone call is something that I do not want, I have the choice to end the phone call, and that gives me power."
We're fucked, bro.
If you don't think these tariffs are going to get passed on to the consumer, we've got a bridge to sell you. But it's got a 10% tariff on it.
Do you think that there's going to be an economic crisis because of the tariffs, or what do you think is going to contribute, and what does that look like?
I think BlackRock's going to contribute to it. While they control basically every financial aspect, like what is it, 1/3 of the world economy is run by BlackRock, something like that. And because of that, they have this grip, this stranglehold on the world. And there's only a few. They run the media, they run economics, they run all this stuff. Now you see Trump coming in, he's letting Elon off the leash to go do what he's got to do with Doge. You see this happening, and the Spirit of the Lord began to show me in advance that they're going to try to crash the market. You know, when Kamala was going to get in, they kept the stuff, they were going to say they were going to lower the interest rates, and when Trump gets in, they kept them high, and they're keeping them there. The bottom line is, I believe they're going to induce a stock market crash if they can. And when that happens, they're going to blame it on the tariffs. They're going to say, look what you voted for.
It's always BlackRock.
They want the economy to collapse so they can move us over to a digital currency for entertainment purposes only.
Everyone needs to pay attention to what's happening in China right now, because for countries like the United States, it is terrifying. You see, for a while now, cheap from China has been the perception of products coming out of the country. And for years, while companies like Tesla blew up, there was a real hesitation to buy Chinese cars. However, fast forward just 5 short years, China has exploded to become the world's largest car producer and exporter in the world. That graph is unbelievable. In fact, last year, China sold 50% more cars abroad than the next largest exporter. Their largest car company, BYD, is now also overtaken Tesla, the world's most valuable car company, in both revenue and sales. And it's only expected to get even crazier, because BYD's new EV factory will span 50 square miles. That's an area larger than the city of San Francisco. And that's a level of production that most simply can't compete with. The thing is, it's not just electric cars. This long game approach that China started working on 15 years ago is seemingly all kicking in now. Just this week, China's flying taxis were granted the world's first operation certificates. For context, that is the final regulatory green light that they needed to start flying, meaning autonomous air taxi services will begin this year in China. This year! China also built the planet's largest high-speed rail network, which is 48,000 kilometers of track in just 15 years. But here's where things get interesting, because Joe Biden attributed China's meteoric rise to unfair business. And hear me out, because he's kind of got a valid point. You see, unlike companies in the West, which are separate from the government, in China, they're kind of not. This means that if the CCP wants to become the world's leader when it comes to cars, they can pour massive amounts of money into companies like BYD. This allows those private companies to rapidly expand in scale, to have aggressively lower prices than the competition, to have reduced financial risk because they've literally got the Chinese government behind them, and then ultimately, as a result, can flood the global market with cars that are not just cheaper than the competition, but more technologically advanced too. And the thing is, consumers don't often care about how a company has arrived at final products. If it's better and cheaper, most likely it'll just be bought. And that's why the United States and many other countries around the world have implemented up to 100% tariffs on Chinese cars to make them more expensive. Because if they just sat back and let them flood the market, local companies simply couldn't compete, because it's not just an unlevel playing field, it's a whole separate playing field altogether. And that's the tricky problem that we're at now. Consumers in the West are seeing this stuff coming out of China and are asking their government why they are purposefully not allowing them to have it, especially during the cost of living crisis that we're currently in. But the question is, what do you think? Is it fair for a government to protect their local companies from unfair business, kind of like how we break up monopolies? Or should markets simply be left to decide winners and losers naturally?
What's the problem? We don't break up monopolies anymore.
Go check out our episode on BlackRock, bro.
This is a McDonald's in 2025. This is the same McDonald's in 2009. Talk about attention to detail. This looks like a safari outside of that building. Check out this McDonald's in 2025. Now look at the exact same McDonald's in 2009. Not as detailed as the safari, but look at what's going on here. Once again, attention to detail. Look at how these logos look in 2025. Look at how they used to look like in the 2000s. They're really taking the color away from life. They're taking the enthusiasm away from life, the flavor, the spark. Now all of these establishments down to the logo be looking like a gray factory. And the thing about it is, it's all by design. It's all by design. It would be one thing if the aesthetics was taken away from the overhead that you would make as a profit every month. But that's not the case because McDonald's, Wendy's, etc., they're making money and a lot of money every year. So why take away the personality, the flavor of the building itself? Why take away all those colors and all of that? Because I'm assuming that the agenda is to make everything monotone. Everything with no spark, with less flavor. Like the creativity level in this era right now is at an all-time low. I've never seen nothing like this before. All the way down to the logos. Like everything is just depressing with it. We need a renaissance and we need it fast.
It's slowly turning into a corporate wasteland.
Idiocracy's coming, bro.
I'm here in Clacton to see what Nigel Farage's constituency has to say about current employment practices. Do you think that companies should be allowed to sack you unless you agree to worse pay and worse conditions?
No.
No.
No, they should not be able to do that.
Do you think that if you're working for a company for less than 2 years, right, they have the right to dismiss you without any good reason?
No. No.
Well, how can they sack you if they haven't got a good reason?
Of course not.
Okay, so next one. Do you think that company should be able to decide the hours you work based on what suits them?
No.
No.
It's just happened to me. Hours cut down.
It's another no.
It's another no. Okay, final question. Do you think that if you are sick, that you should go without pay for 3 days?
No, you should be paid, shouldn't you? But it's out of order. You can't control being sick.
No, that's not fair.
But there is some good news. So there is a bill proposed in Parliament right now that is to get rid of all these bad practices.
That'd be good.
Any idea someone who voted against the bill?
Business people, obviously.
The employer. Company owners.
Shall I give you a clue? Your MP.
Nigel. No.
Really? Your MP. Oh.
That is a surprise, big surprise.
I did think he was more for the people and more for human rights than that.
Are you surprised?
I am really surprised because I thought he was working for the public.
Next time he brings his tack around and waving at people, I'll just say to him, hang on a minute, mate, I want to speak to you.
I'm not surprised. He's a prize cunt.
You don't support legalisation either, bro.
The British police spend about 500 mil policing for cannabis alone. Then you need about the same amount for keeping people in prison. Maybe $1 billion.
$1 billion a year. Okay.
The potential is up to about 7 billion. The legal market that's already exists is taking 3-odd billion. You've got the illegal market, which nobody technically knows, but it's about the same. So you put the two together, you're over 7 billion potential earnings for the government. So whatever the tax on that would be, it'd be quite a few quid. There's a few hospitals there, mate, that could be built.
Yeah.
Just from cannabis that's being released, like I say, all over Europe. Like JW Pharmaceuticals, who Theresa May's husband owned. And they
based down here in England, down in Kent.
Yeah, over that way, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a massive place. We in our documentary, we went down and filmed it. And it's like 72 football pitches of cannabis.
The money won't go to hospitals, it will go to shareholders. That's why they've stretched out legalisation for so long. All they care about is that the corporations have control of it.
72 football pitches, bro. We're not allowed any of it.
I've been really getting back into the telepathy tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's blowing my absolute mind.
Tell me about it.
There's this one boy, Houston, his story is just insane. Like, grew up severely autistic, non-speaking, and mom just grew up thinking that he was basically almost like a vegetable. And she came home one day, her son walked downstairs, looked her straight in the eyes, which she said never made eye contact ever, and said, "I love you." Verbally. Through that was the beginning, figuring out that he could read people's minds. He could see what they were thinking. And then it starts with him talking about this place. He says that he goes to this place with other kids, other people that have this ability of telepathy. They call it the Hill.
Yeah.
And he says, we meet there, we teach each other things, we pray for each other. And it's like this community of kids that have this ability. They go to the Hill. It's not like a physical place. It's like not dimensional. It's like a place where their consciousness goes. And they said, but it's like in the shape of a hill. He talks to other kids around the world, like one from Denmark, one from Texas, one from just all over the world.
Is it being tested, like them following up with these people, meeting?
Yeah.
So like they're touching base with all these people and somehow they've never had contact with each other.
Yeah.
They don't know each other at all.
But the part that it's proven is all these kids can speak multiple languages. An example was a 2-year-old non-speaking autistic kid. He could speak 7 languages.
Like what?
That he's never been taught before. He's 2.
If you haven't listened to the telepathy tapes, you should go and check them out.
And watch our episode on them.
So new CIA documents claim that Hitler did not die. Now, I spoke about this 12 months ago and was ridiculed for it, and it was taken down for misinformation. Looks like it was real, guys. You know, he escaped. He went to Argentina. People saying, oh, well, how did he get there? Well, so from the 1920s, 25,000 Germans every single year went to Argentina to live there because of the economy crisis from the 20s. There was a massive economy crisis in Germany. So there was a big German population in Argentina. He did visit Argentina. He would have had places there. He would have known the area quite well. People say, how did he just hide out there? Well, it's 1945. It's not now. You're thinking of it in current times. It'd be found straight away. There's no surveillance. Surveillance weren't there in the 1940s, 50s or 60s. Surveillance didn't properly start until late 80s, 90s. That's when it really got good, the surveillance. Very easy to hide out in that location. Very easy. But they weren't after him anyway. They weren't after him. It was after the technology. And the evidence there is in Operation Paperclip, where they take the engineers, scientists and technicians over to the United States to carry on the work. And then the year or two after that, we had Roswell and everything, the UFOs, it went mad. And that's how we started, because of the German technology. The United States would have nothing technology-wise if it wasn't for what the Germans helped them with. 100%, I don't care what anybody says. The Germans gave you all the information you needed to get all this technology, 100%. And you got them because you were scared they were going to go to Russia. And some of them did go to Russia, so Russia did get some sort of technology from them, but primarily all of them went to the United States. And he had 2 children apparently, and died in 1962. And the skull that was found was not his, it was a female's. I can't believe I got ridiculed for this, and only 12 months later it's now come out in CIA documents that this is real. That he survived, he did not die. He fled weeks before they was closing in on him. What do you think, guys? And the United States knew about it. Why didn't they go after him? That's a crime in itself. The amount of people that he slayed. They just allowed him to live his life in Argentina.
If that's true, that's fucking insane.
It is true, bro. People have known for years.
Puppy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. He's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off.
You invited people around and just looked at them.
He was stalking them, bro. He's a predator.
You guys, I think I found it. This is the big one. This guy said, look into the parliament building in Romania that was built in the 80s, and you're not gonna believe the fucking story on this one. So this is the biggest building in the world, the heaviest building. It weighs over 9 billion pounds. 4.5 million tons, and it went up in the 80s. And there's not a single construction photo of it. This is all I could find. Look, they are digging it out. And look, it's dirty, it's messy, it needs to be cleaned off, it's supposed to be brand new. And then this is the other one with some stuff up next to it, but it's finished. Guys, the story's so stupid, it said that this dictator really wanted a palace, and so he had a competition, and this 28-year-old chick, when she was 28, won it. She was in charge of 700 architects and like 10,000, 30,000, the number doesn't matter, laborers. It said a lot of it was forced labor and that the army helped. These aren't even skilled craftsmen. Guys, what in the fuck? There's not a photo of the construction. I dare anyone, please go look. I looked and looked and I couldn't find a single photo of the construction of this magnificent place they say was built in the 80s. Do you see what I'm talking about? They just print shit. They just lie in front of you, and they have guns and you don't. And that's all of our history books. We're like, they couldn't pull the wool over our eyes. We knew what was going on then to the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. You don't know shit. You didn't know about the biggest building in the world and that there's not a single construction photo for it other than the one of them digging it out. I think this is the smoking gun of smoking guns, unless someone can prove me wrong and say, no, they absolutely built this palace for parliament under a sociopathic dictator. Had this chick built? What are we talking? How is she not celebrated? How is this not the most talked about person on earth? You all know about Mr. Eiffel. This chick rivals him. What a ridiculous, ridiculous narrative.
It's Tartaria, bro.
Said it was built in the fucking 80s. The people that built it are still alive.
Okay, this is the weirdest thing I've seen in a while. So for some reason, ChatGPT refuses to write the name David Mayer. And I didn't believe it until I tried it myself. Now, it'll write David Mayer with an E, but then as soon as you asked it to do M-A-Y-E-R, it just says error. So of course I Googled the name, and this is the top result. He's apparently a British adventurer, environmentalist, film producer, and here's the key detail, the youngest heir to the Rothschild family's banking fortune. So I thought maybe it's a Rothschild thing, maybe ChatGPT and the Rothschild. Strange. I asked it to name all the Rothschilds, right? And it had no problem all until, and I'll show you the recording, until it hits David. And then as soon as it even tries to do the surname, it suddenly fritzes and it just says error. I told you, weird. And I feel unsafe posting this. Huh.
There's a lot we don't know about the Rothschilds, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold up, Ted, we've got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment on this video for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang bang!
Rep, rep.
Pick something from our merch store and we'll send it straight out.
Shout out Natalie and everyone buying the merch.
Yeah, and a big thanks to all our new channel members and everyone gifting the memberships.
Come and join the Discord, bro. It's free.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.